Hi, welcome to Attainable Green. I'm Jess, and today I want to share with you a couple of tips on what to do after you get your new orchid. So this season, a lot of people have been online shopping and getting new orchids. And with that comes a new kind of protocol on how to introduce a new plant into your current collection without causing any problems. So here are a couple of tips on how to do that. So the first thing is to take a picture of your plant and inspect it for any possible problems. Hopefully the majority of you will get plants in great condition, and you can just use the image as a reminder on how this plant looked and its growth cycle and how much it has grown since you've had it. If there is a problem with the plant, then you have an image to share with the seller, and make sure it's in great lighting and really easy to spot what the problem is so that you can communicate with the seller and figure out a solution to the plant's issue. Now the second thing is to inspect your plant, and you just want to make sure that everything is in good condition. If you do inspect the plant and there is a problem, there are a couple of things that you can do to remedy that. So the first thing would be a moisture issue. If the plant is too wet, you just put it in a place to let it dry out for a few days. And if the plant is too dry, then you can pour some water and wet the media so that the plant can be hydrated. The second thing may be if you have a pest issue. Sometimes these plants may come with hitchhikers. They could be spiders, they could be mealybugs, they could be scale. And depending on what pests you have, they may be easy or hard to remove. And most of the time, a simple washing with warm water can rinse away the pest. Then you can treat it with a pesticide or neem oil or something to just make sure that the pest doesn't come back. Sometimes orchid nurseries miss things, and that pest may be able to travel in that box and arrive with you. That's not to say that the orchid nursery is bad, but sometimes it happens. There are hitchhikers that come in boxes, and I've had my fair share, and I'm sure a lot of you have too. That's just part of the process of getting a live plant. Now the third issue may be a disease problem. It may have some rot issues or wrinkled leaves or something of that sort. And in that case, you have to look up what's going on with that specific plant to figure it out. Most issues can be easily resolved. And then if it's something detrimental and if something is catastrophic, like the plant arrived completely dead, then yes, definitely email the seller and let them know that you received a completely dead plant. So after the initial assessment, I like to keep my plants in quarantine for about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what is needed. I do this to make sure that the plants I introduce to my collection are clean, that they're free of pests and they're free of disease. And sometimes it takes a couple of days or even a couple of weeks for that to appear. When plants are being shipped, sometimes there is transport shock that happens to the plant, and it takes a couple of days for that to appear. That's almost like, you fly from here in California to Europe. There is a time difference, there is jet lag, and you may not notice it the first day that you are off the plane, but after a few days, you may become a little more tired, or you may start to pick up and gather more energy later in the week. So keeping that in mind for yourself and applying it to plants, I think plants are like the same way too. So keeping them separate for a few days will probably just help them acclimate to your space better. So during the quarantine period and after is when I evaluate if the plant needs to be repotted. Now, some people like to repot immediately after they receive a plant, and some people like to wait. Personally, I like to wait. I want my plant to acclimate to my environment first before adding other stressors to the plant. Repotting orchids is a very stressful thing to the plant, and it's probably the most stressful thing you can do aside from dividing the plant itself. So if things are healthy, then I like to keep it in its media for as long as I can. And then when it comes to the proper time to repot this plant, then I will do so. Most orchids can be repotted almost any time of the year, but a few of them, especially the species, are a little bit finicky about when they need to be repotted. So I am learning that I don't repot immediately after I get a plant. I like to wait for it to acclimate, and then when it is the proper time to repot the plant, like when new growth is starting, new roots are emerging, then I use that as a time to repot. So using the travel metaphor again, it's almost like flying cross country and then moving house at the same time. That is very stressful, and if we can reduce one of those things, then it'll probably be easier for the plant. So those are my tips on dealing with new arrivals and introducing them to the rest of your orchid collection. I'm sure a lot of you have your tips and your ways of how you handle new arrivals, and I'd love to know. So I would love it if you would share them in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see more, please like this video and subscribe to my channel Attainable Green to follow along on my orchid journey. I hope you all are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!